Hi there, it's September 28th, 2011, and we come to you with some sad news. Katrina was actually kidnapped this morning by the Cuba Police Department under orders of the St. Charles Family Court. We've called Stephen Tilley, who's the Missouri House of Representatives Speaker of the House, and we're going to do whatever we can to get Judge Pelikan impeached. We found numerous conflicts of interest, a lot of monkey business going on, thefts of large sums of money, the foster parent being accused of numerous things. But this system has totally failed Mike and Sarah here. Sarah is Katrina's biological mother, and Mike and Sarah have been married for 9 years now. They have a stable home down in Cuba. And Katrina was actually left the foster care system. She is 19 years old. And the first thing I wanted to show you all today is the order which put Katrina back into the custody of the state care system. And this is in the interest of Katrina. Helderly is her actual stolen state name, is what she's going under now. But she is, it says right here, a female juvenile at the age of 19 years old. Our first question is how can you be a juvenile at the age of 19 years old? Her birthday is in what, February 13th? And she'll be 20 years old in February, and her elder brother James will be 21 in February as well, and he is still in the care and custody of the state of Missouri as well. But this is in order to take into judicial custody. And my first gripe this morning, and God bless the Cuba Police, is actually for them executing this order. Obviously, anyone with any acumen or any intelligence whatsoever would realize a 18-year-old is a juvenile, or 18 and under, and there is some even gray area at 17. But we definitely know that a 19-year-old cannot be considered a juvenile under any state law or any laws of the United States as well. Now, we've called the U.S. Marshals Service, we've called the FBI, we've called the state representative, Stephen Tilley, and we've called the Crawford County Sheriff, and these all are refusing to act. So really all we can do is put together another YouTube video and let Mike and Sarah kind of pretty much tell the story. Sarah, what happened this morning at 10 o'clock, or what was going on?
I was getting ready to get Katrina into the shower because she had a doctor's appointment at 3 o'clock this afternoon to see one doctor and find out what medications she needs and get her one supervised doctor. Here come two cops and a CPS worker knocking at my door, and they took Katrina by this order. She cried, she screamed, she tried going back into the house. They wouldn't let her go back into the house. She said she was home. She didn't want to go back. She refuses to go back to Pat Martin's home. They took her. They stole her.
She's got bank statements. She's had Pat Martin removed from her bank. Pat Martin's been stealing her money. We have it with their own yearly review reports from the children about the original $16,000 and how Miss Martin spent it and how it was replaced by the state of Missouri, our taxpayer dollars. And there's supposed to be an account held with the $16,000 that they replaced, but not being a gambling man, I'll gamble on this one and say that there's not an account in existence. We can prove that she's taken $300 the day before Katrina left the system while she was in New Orleans, had $300 transferred from her account. We have several copies of several checks from the bank where Katrina couldn't even write a $2 check for her lunch to the school because Pat Martin kept her account empty. There's $10 checks. We have a copy of a check where Pat Martin paid $30 to the Boy Scouts for entertainment book. Hello, Katrina's not a boy.
Well, yeah, and the thing about it is now some of the foster parents had run into a little trouble with the law. Now, explain that if you would, Sarah. Explain how Pelikan, who was the judge on Katrina's case, was also the judge on, was it Pat Martin or no,
Just a friend of Katrina's. I won't mention any names until she approves it. But a friend of Katrina's that was in the system, she is a foster care of Pat, and foster care with Pat. The judge was going to keep her till she was 21. Well, she was giving Pat problems, so Pat transferred her out of her house to another house. And then this girl realized that I'm an adult. She was 18 and the judge was going to keep her till 21. She packed her stuff, went home to her biological mother. Judge Pelikan said, well, she's an adult, washed his hands of her, and then sold her his personal car.
Now, why would he do that, people? What would make him feel so generous to somebody that disobeyed his order the same as Katrina and packed up and left?
He didn't send out
Why
a
would he
pickup
do
order
that?
for her.
And Pelikan had also been involved in some criminal matters concerning some of the other foster parents. Katrina's previous foster family, the Helderleys, who actually had adopted her, Mr. Helderly was sexually abusing her from the time she was, 4 years old up until he passed at the age of 13. And there were criminal charges pending against both Pat and David Helderly. And who was the judge on those matters?
Judge Pelikan, on most of them.
Some of them he handled the cases. There was a Ted House and a couple other ones, but Pelikan handled several cases at the time they were in the house. He knew what type of people they were. He could have stopped it at any time, especially when he's had the kids in front before he was their judge there to protect them. He let that go on. He knew what type of person and people they were. He could have yanked them babies from that home at any time for them writing checks over and under $500, cut out mufflers. I mean, he could have served justice for any number of reasons, but yet he let them people go on and abuse them children. He knew what type they were. The woman that abused her, Kathleen Helderly, has also just been given probation. She hasn't served a day
She's
in prison.
been in jail, but not in prison.
And we're reading through their court paperwork, and they were trying to reconcile and place Katrina and James back into her home. Keep in mind, this is the same woman. Look on case.net and look at all the cases, the years, and all the rulings of Judge Pelikan. And, you know, if you guys know anything about this case, you guys know the dates all coincide, you know. It's all there. It's in black and white. We have the Facebook message with all the pretty headers around it, how Judge Pelikan basically told James, I'm not letting you out of the system unless you enlist it in the Marines. James went ahead and enlisted in the Marines because he wanted off his medication and he just wanted to come home. He was supposed to be released yesterday, and Lou and James got about 2 minutes from their house on the way to the courthouse. Judge Pelikan sent a call to them and told them to turn around and go home. So James never made it to the courthouse, never got released, and we woke up this morning to them taking Katrina and kidnapping her, against her will, I might add.
This is what I got from the courthouse yesterday.
And they do have an uneasy feeling. Don't trust these people at all.
I think that's the wisest statement made all day long.
It's getting ready to come up now.
Hi. For something in particular? Yep, I'm waiting for James Helderly to get out of court because James Helderly, the judge is supposed to maybe be releasing him today.
Who is James Helderly?
He's my biological son.
Okay. Are you here for a court appearance?
No, I'm just waiting for him to get out. The judge may be releasing him today, giving him his license.
I don't think he's being released.
Not being released, so. Okay. He was expecting me to be here, so.
No.
Okay.
Not coming out, so.
James
Okay.
isn't here? Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Folks, you can see how they're running this mother around, and you know, it's a travesty of justice. It really is, and we don't understand how this can continue to go on. Really, the only solution that we have to this right now is to make this public, and that's the whole point of these videos. With the first videos we put up on YouTube, we had well over 500 visitors to them, and then they've went viral. And we've had other incidences going on, but Sarah's got something to say here.
I would also like to make a statement that I had never been arrested before this case happened, when it very first happened back in '95. Never been arrested for anything in my life. Kathy and David had been arrested when I was in California giving birth to my son. They had criminal charges from back then. So that was the foster parents they sent them to.
Yeah, it seems that the whole foster care system is certainly flawed. We're going to make all the powers that be aware of these videos. But
And Mr. Pelikan.
we are going to remove Mr. Pelikan from the bench through the system. Articles of impeachment. We hope to be able to find someone to introduce articles of impeachment through the House of Representatives. We're also going to file a formal complaint with the Commission of Retirement, Removal, and Discipline of Judges. Obviously, there's a conflict of interest here, and it goes a lot deeper than just these situations that we're talking about now. What we discovered back when Sarah had her parental rights terminated, Sarah, tell them the deal that they offered to make you the day in court when they terminated your parental rights for Katrina.
If I signed rights of Katrina away, that they would take Katrina and I could just take James home and be a happy family with James and the baby that I was pregnant with. I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, Samantha. She's 15 years old now. I was pregnant with her, had her 13 days after my final visit picture.
Straight A student, president of the Key Club, not a thing wrong
On
with
a
it.
roll.
Actually, you guys could learn a thing or two from her.
Perfectly healthy child and happy in her home.
Yeah, and now you have the foster care system, and with the help of local law enforcement, kidnapping a Katrina and still holding James under duress, and he'll be 21 years old very soon. That's basically all we had to say at this point in time. Unless Mike or Sarah have something else to say. How are we doing on time there, young lady?
12 minutes. I'd
Okay.
mentioned that they keep her on drugs to keep her dumbed down.
Yeah, they
Yes.
are immediately already doing that. The CPS worker did state she was happy to see her medications and everything. They did strip her of her phone and her computer now, so she has no contact. We don't know when we'll be able to talk to her or what's going on until we get this judge taken care of. We've got plenty of financial records. She was
perfectly healthy when
completely
they took her.
healthy, safe,
Happy.
fine, protesting, telling them she was home. She was 19, an adult. So if anything happens to Katrina, please, people, be aware. There's tons of witnesses, tons of people that can verify, as well as the Cuba cops, and she was fine when she left. So there is deaths and things that happen to people that speak out against these people and what they do. And I think it is serious and to this point, and these people are those type
And
of
I
people.
did have a doctor's appointment set for today for right here in my local town, a local doctor who was going to try to treat her and take care of her, make sure everything was okay with her, so they couldn't say that I wasn't getting her treated for anything.
Yeah, I think it's also noteworthy to note that she was on 9 different medications when you got her from the state of Missouri, from 5 different doctors. Didn't have one primary care provider, but had 5 different doctors, so they're basically out doctor shopping. And we mentioned the fact of the money stolen, missing from her accounts. Katrina, they had labeled her as being basically retarded, but Katrina had achieved well in school, had above average grades in school, had her driver's license, had a vehicle that she worked for, paid for, enrolled in college, doing very well in college, and basically this whole system has snatched her back in. But this Judge Pelikan is certainly suspect, and we just ask you to pray for the folks at the Division of Family Services and Judge Pelikan, and pray that they get to know the Lord, because these are serious and trying times that we're all living in here, folks. And Mike and Sarah are just part of the, just some of the victims of this system. We've heard from literally hundreds of others of people who have been victimized by the Division of Family Services, the Department of Social Services, and this foster abuse system is going to come to an end, and we're going to do everything we can to expose them for the type of people they are, and they're they're kidnappers, and thieves on top of that. So that's really all we wanted to say. Go ahead, Sarah.
James, Katrina, and Samantha, I love you very much if you see this video, and I always will, and I'll fight forever for you guys. I love you.
Till death, babies.
And let me tell you this much, folks, before we cut this off, and we're going to try to keep us under 15 minutes. I think we're pretty close. Well, we're a little over 15 minutes. But you know what, folks, this country is supposed to be government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And what we have in America today is not a country we can't even begin to recognize. And how the local law enforcement people can actually execute an order that says a juvenile is 19 years old when we all know that a juvenile is over 18. I have children upstairs that are 17, 18 years old. They can't even figure it out, how they could be. My son is actually, he's sovereign on his own at 17. So, I mean, this whole thing is just a scam, folks. It's plain and simple. And it goes a lot further than the money. It goes a lot further than just the custody. There's a lot of other wicked, vile stuff that's going on that we won't even mention at this point in time because they're serious allegations, and until I can actually prove them, I'm not even going to go there. But you can just let your imagination run wild with this whole situation.
Why would he sell a car to be so generous with a kid who disobeyed his orders? And Mr. Pelikan, those kids hate your guts. They're going to tell you. You know, they know what you are and who you are and what you're doing, you know, and they've had enough. They want to come home. So
Katrina was off
think
the
about
meds for 2 weeks. Her eyes has been open. Her brain is blossoming. She's doing
James
so
is
good at
aware.
home.
And like Moses said to Pharaoh, let my people go. So
The
that's,
truth
my
shall
children
set you
go.
free.
Let my children go.
so that's all we really wanted to share with you right
Thank
now.
you.
We'll have more later on. Hey, God bless you all for looking. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amen.